Hi, today I wanted to share some information with you, especially if you're a veteran, and why now is probably a really good time to consider buying. And that's because we've been seeing a shift in the market here in the greater Phoenix metro area, where we have gone from seller's market to more balanced to more buyers. So depending upon where you're at here in the valley, most areas are either in a balanced market or a buyer's market, both of which are favorable for buyers in so much that sellers are willing to do some negotiation as far as paying some closing costs nature. But did you know, as a veteran, you can get actually even more money from the seller because they break it down into seller concessions, but then also cover your closing costs. They treat them a little bit differently. So let me explain. So first of all, a couple of things might be considered more of a seller concession would be they can pay your funding fee. Typically, we're able to finance in your funding fee. But if you were able to get the seller to pay it, that could actually save quite a bit towards your monthly payment. So let's just take, for example, like a $450,000 purchase price, and you're doing zero down VA, and you've used your VA before. So you're in what we refer to as a multi-use on the eligibility, meaning that you would pay a 3.3% funding fee if you're not exempt because of receiving a service-related disability. Well, 3.3% on 450,000 is $14,850. So just under $15,000. If you were to take an interest rate of 6.25%, for example, 30-year fixed, that's going to save you over $90 a month in your monthly payment by having the seller pay that for you versus having you finance it in. Now, the other thing that the seller can do as far as concessions would be temporary buy downs, additionally permanent buy downs, paying even more towards your points and getting you into a more permanent buy down. But one other thing that they can do under this concession, if you will, is they could actually pay some of your debt and or judgments, clear them off of your credit. We're actually working with a buyer right now that, unfortunately, due to some things going on with him, unforeseen with regards to his work, he's now getting a little bit less as far as monthly income. And so when that happened, the way for us to continue to keep him qualified for the purchase price he was wanting, we need to pay off some debt. This is going to allow us to collect that money from the seller in terms of a concession and then pay those debts off as part of his qualification. So it's a really great feature, something that only VA allows you to do. And so if you're a veteran, I wanted to make sure and get this information out to you. So keep in mind that these concessions are different than what we would consider normal interested third-party contributions. So in other words, in a typical map market, the seller can pay your closing costs, and let's just say on average, that's 2 to 3%. Then you have up to an additional 4% in these concessions to cover some of these things I just talked about, paying your funding fee, paying off debt, using that additional monies to buy down the rate even further. So again, these are just really great opportunities for veterans. And because we're seeing this shift in the market and it's becoming more buyer friendly, wanted to get this information out. I hope you found this really helpful. If you are a veteran, please watch this. If you know of a veteran, please do me a favor, forward this to them because it's great information for them to have. All right. If you like this, hopefully you did. Do me a favor, subscribe and like to our page here. We look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions about VA loans or just the loan process in general, please feel free to reach out. You can always call us. You can always text us. We're always here to answer your questions. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.